You know, in the world of blockchain, speed is pretty much everything. It's what defines what's even possible. So today, we're going to break down the incredible chain of technical upgrades that took the MultiversX network from, a pretty good speed to being one of the absolute fastest on the planet. This is the story of the quest for sub-second finality. All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the big problem that all blockchains are trying to solve. Then, we'll walk through 3 huge upgrades, one by one. Think of it as plugging a leak, then rebuilding the engine, and then, finally, hitting the nitrous. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at why all this speed actually matters to you. You see, every single blockchain is playing this constant balancing act between speed, security, and decentralization. It's a real puzzle. But for you, the person actually using it, speed is the thing you feel. It's the difference between an app feeling smooth and instant or clunky and frustrating. Okay, so you might be thinking, 6 seconds? That's not slow. And, in a lot of cases, you'd be right. But when we're talking about digital payments or super fast trading, or especially real-time gaming, 6 seconds is an eternity. A delay like that just puts a hard ceiling on what you can actually build. So this was the starting line, 6 seconds for every block. It was a decent starting point for sure, but if you have ambitions to be a global scale network, that number had to come down. This was the first major mountain to climb on the long road to instant transactions. So, the very first step in this journey, funnily enough, wasn't about adding more horsepower. Not at all. It was about fixing a leak. There was this fundamental inefficiency in how the network was handling its own resources, its own digital gas. Turns out there was this old rule, kind of left over from the network's very early days. It let developers overestimate how much gas their transaction would need by a factor of 10. It probably seemed like a good safety net at the time, but it ended up causing some serious traffic jams and a whole lot of waste. And this gas leak, it had real tangible effects. Picture a huge NFT mint, right? Bots could just exploit this 10x buffer to spam the network with junk, squeezing out actual users. It meant blocks were often packed with useless data, while your real transaction was stuck on the outside, looking in. It was a mess. The fix was actually pretty straightforward, but man, was it effective. The Barnard upgrade simply tightened that rule. It cut the allowed overestimation from 10 times, all the way down to 2. Just like that, block space was freed up, spam went way down, and the road was paved for the serious speed boosts that were coming next. So with that leak plugged, the stage was set for something much, much bigger. Barnard fixed an efficiency problem, sure, but the network's core engine, the way it reached agreement, its consensus, that was the real speed limit. It was time for a total rebuild. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just quickly touch on this word, consensus. It's really the heart and soul of any blockchain. It's basically the secure voting process that validators use to agree that, yep, this block of transactions is legit and permanent. The whole point of the Andromeda upgrade was to make this process way faster, without ever compromising on security. The old system, well, it had some issues. First, it needed a whole separate confirmation block just to be 100% sure a transaction was final. This literally doubled your waiting time. It also had this single leader finalizing each block, which is a potential single point of failure, and opens the door for something nasty called equivocation, where a bad leader could try to cheat the system by proposing 2 different blocks at once. And just look at how complicated this was. If you wanted to send a transaction between different parts of the network, these are called shards, it had to go on this crazy 6-step journey. You can see it bouncing back and forth between the shards and this metachain. It worked, it was secure, but man, all those steps made it painfully slow. So Andromeda just tore down that old engine and built a new one. It made blocks final the instant they hit consensus, which got rid of those extra confirmation blocks, and bam, finality time was cut in half. It also let any validator finalize a block, which totally eliminated that equivocation risk. And it took that crazy 6-step process for cross-shard transactions and boiled it down to just 3. Just a massive, massive improvement. All right, so the leak is plugged, the engine has been completely rebuilt. The network was now primed and ready for its most radical upgrade ever. This was the one, the final jump that would shatter that sub-second barrier. This was Supernova. Okay, this right here, this is the secret sauce. The absolute genius of the Supernova upgrade. The old way, the network had to process every single transaction in a block before the validators could even vote on it. Supernova just flipped that completely on its head. Now, a block gets proposed, the validators vote on it almost instantly to lock it in, and only after that does the network actually process all the transactions inside. It's a total game changer. So think about this. Even after that huge engine rebuild with Andromeda, the network was still chugging along at that same 6-second block time. But by completely separating the voting from the processing, the Supernova upgrade changed the entire equation. A 10 times improvement. The block time went from 6 seconds down to just 600 milliseconds. That's less than a second. This is the innovation that made sub-second finality a real thing. Okay, we've gone through a lot of tech stuff here, going from 6 seconds all the way down to 600 milliseconds. But what does a performance jump that massive really mean for the people actually using the network? For the developers, the users, the whole ecosystem? This chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Before any of this, you were looking at a 12-second wait time for finality because of that extra confirmation block. Andromeda came in and chopped that in half, down to 6 seconds. And then Supernova just blew the doors off, bringing it all the way down to 600 milliseconds. I mean, that journey is just incredible. When you get down to it, this speed boost helps everyone. For you as a user, it means payments and swaps feel totally instant. For developers, it just unlocks a whole new category of high-speed apps that you couldn't even dream of building before. For investors, it shows this is a network that is ready for prime time, for real adoption. And maybe the most amazing part? They did all this without messing with the network's core economics at all. I love this quote from the original proposal for Supernova. It just says it all so perfectly. The key was to make it so that consensus didn't have to wait for execution anymore. By cracking that one problem, they unlocked a whole new level of performance. And that, really, is the question this all leaves us with. When a blockchain transaction is as fast as a mouse click, what new kinds of finance? What new kinds of gaming? What new technologies can we build? This whole series of upgrades, it wasn't just about making a number on a screen smaller. It was about kicking down the door to the future.